Are you looking for a real estate investing strategy effective for the next 6 to 12 months? If there's an investing formula superior to wholesaling or rehabbing and better than landlording, well, there is. One of our sponsors has been an investor for over 20 years. He's been through it all, up and down markets. This is not new to him. But listen to this. He's offering an investing how-to kit for free to our listeners for a limited time. So go to unlimitedfundingkit.com and get your free kit to start investing without a credit check or large down payment. This information is not common knowledge. It reveals how to have virtually unlimited funding for your deals based on a technique very, very few investors know about. Guys, this is not common knowledge. So be one of the few and get the unlimited funding kit by going to their website at unlimitedfundingkit.com. Again, the kit is free, just a few bucks for shipping. So head over and get your kit, unlimitedfundingkit.com.
Welcome to Underground Wealth Secrets, hosted by Julie Houston on behalf of Bob and Ed Diamond. This is your friendly guide on leveling up your business, achieving financial freedom, and changing people's lives. This is for serious players who want to surpass their current stage and move the needle further. Tune in to get practical advice and eye-opening stories of industry leaders across the nation, teaching you how to scale your business with a strong financial mindset and true to your core values. Let's get this discussion started with your one and only host, Julie Houston.
Hey everyone, this is Julie Houston with UndergroundWealthSecrets.net podcast on behalf of Bob and Ed Diamond. I am very, very, very excited today. We have a special guest. They are an incredible investor, incredible at online marketing, especially YouTube. I've known Connor Steinbrook. How many years have we known each other now, Connor?
Man,
long time.
Yeah, it's probably like 5, 6, 7 years.
I know it's been,
as I get older,
a long time.
Time kind of emerges. Once I turned 30, I actually forgot when I turned 31, I forgot that I had already turned 30, and I remember thinking, did I just turn 30? And I was already 31. So as I get older, time kind of merges and disappears.
Wow, I wish I was turning 30.
Yeah, I can turn 30.
Oh my God. I wish.
I think it's been like, we met at Mitch Stevens' event, I think, right?
Yeah, like years ago. Yeah.
So we go way back.
Yeah, we go way back. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and your background and kind of, where you came from and where you're at right now?
Yeah, cool. I'll just, hold on to your ears. I'll go real quick and knock out my life story in about 2 or 3 minutes for you guys. So I went off to college. I'm out of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. I went to the University of Oklahoma to get a marketing degree. And accidentally, I became a professional poker player in the midst of doing this. So when I was in my freshman dorm, a big online event happened, which is online poker kind of picked up. And a lot of young kids in college saw this as a way to make extra money. And I put $20 in a poker site, started playing for pennies and dollars and tens of dollars, then some of the highest stakes on the internet. And for 8 years, I became one of the top online poker players. And I did that all the way up. Yeah, I did that up until it was a random thing. And just hobby became profession. And then government regulation happened, unfortunately, on April 15th, 2011. It's called Black Friday. So if you look on the internet, there's a historical record of this, which was when governments can't regulate something or they don't have their hands in it and they don't control it, they either figure out how to do so or destroy it. And that's what kind of happened. So overnight, I lost everything, the way of creating an income, my entire identity, my entire world, all my friends. We lost the only way that we had of printing money at the time. I made some bad decisions, gambled off everything on blackjack craps. And before I knew it, I was back living at home with my parents in my late 20s, as embarrassing as that sounds. And I played poor me for a couple of years. And what happened was I realized online poker wasn't coming back. And then I stumbled into self-development and I came across Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, kind of all the cliche, names out there, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy. And I went down heavy self-development. That encouraged me to get into real estate investing, and it didn't go very well. I went $100,000 in debt and I ran out of money because I was doing traditional marketing strategies and I wasn't doing very well with what I was doing. Also, I wasn't converting the leads that I did bring in. And so essentially I ran out of money and everybody told me to file bankruptcy. Instead of doing so, I picked up a broom and swept floors at Academy Sports and Outdoors. As crazy as that sounds, instead of filing bankruptcy, I got a job working for minimum wage while I was teaching myself how to build websites. So I was one of the first few people on Investor Carrot. Some of you guys know Trevor Mock and Adrian Nez and them.
Yeah.
So I was one of the first investors on that platform, and I was going to their morning calls, and they were teaching me about how YouTube was just acquired by Google. Google just acquired YouTube, and by linking YouTube channels to your websites, it would help the algorithm and drive up the domain authority or whatever it was. And so I started building private YouTube channels, linking to my websites, and within 6 months, while I was working for minimum wage, living at home with my parents, I cracked the code of internet marketing and built the #1 house acquisition websites for many of the biggest keywords here in North Texas for many of our biggest cities.
Wow.
Like we buy houses, Plano, we buy houses, Dallas, Fort Worth, and some of the biggest keywords. And so I went from no leads, no business to overnight, too many leads, too many business, or too many leads coming in. So I started out wholesaling houses, moved into flipping houses, started building my rental portfolio, went into owner financing, started creating notes, selling notes, did deals with land, mobile homes on land. And then along the way, I built my YouTube channel, Investor Army, which now is Texas's #1 largest real estate investing channel. And that channel kind of put me out there in the national footprint. And that's when people started blowing me up about eXp Realty. Blew that business model off for a couple of years because I didn't really understand what was going on. Then after a couple of years of kind of turning a cold shoulder to the eXp model, I was speaking at an event in Mississippi at a real estate conference. The #1 guy at our company was speaking at the same event. I got put into the speaker's house with them. And for 3 days, I had to stay with this individual. And I was completely blown away with the model. Moved my license to eXp a little over 4 years ago. And since then, we built our Wolfpack organization to over 2,200 agents. And we're growing about 100 agents a month right now and selling, give or take, 1,000 houses a month. So it's kind of been a crazy journey to get here. And that's kind of my entire life story in past 3 minutes for you guys. But so we're doing both sides of business, the investing side, and then also on the sales side and the agent side, running the team.
So I got to ask, because I've heard this through the grapevine, and I don't know, I'm not in EXP, but I heard you're pretty high up there in EXP, if I'm not mistaken.
We're getting up there. Yeah. So I think we're about, 85,000 getting up there. So right about 85,000 agents. They should announce here pretty quickly. And currently right now I'm ranked 35 or 36 in the company at about 85,000 agents. And in my defense, about 25 of those joined 5 years before we did. So adjusting for time, we're doing pretty good. And that has to do with the internet, YouTube, video marketing, and a digital footprint in the world that we live in, and the way technology is allowing business to operate on a global footprint, but not a local, geographically restricted footprint like businesses traditionally operate through. So the way that I did this was building a brand, building a large footprint around the world, meaning attention in different markets, different states, different countries. And then when the opportunity popped up to build a national, international team, I had already had that network built out, and that's what led me to do this. And so we can talk about video marketing and YouTube and all that on how this is kind of the lifeblood and water for a business going forward, or video marketing in general, but YouTube is kind of the heart of it. But that's kind of how it all happened. Is we built the channel, we built the audience, and then the opportunity showed up. We'd already built the foundation, and then the rest was history. But just to give you guys an idea of where you see your business going forward, sometimes the big opportunity that changes your life later, you need to start working today to build a foundation with not knowing what's coming tomorrow, but the opportunity will show up and you'll seize the moment, and people will call you lucky at that moment, right? But that's what you need to start thinking about. A lot of young entrepreneurs, as you know, Julie, they want everything now, but you need to have a runway for a plane to take off the ground. And so right now, start thinking about how to build your runway so that when the opportunity shows up, you take it down. Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more. So how do you really, what is the starting point on building a business in YouTube?
So when it comes to building any business, what do we need? We need time, we need money, and we need attention, and we need our emotions to stay positive so we don't, burn out and give up, right? And so when we're trying to generate leads to grow any business, we can do this through doing what? Spending time or spending money, combination of both. And we can do this in a couple of different ways. We can do this with our time, proactively generating leads, reaching out to someone one by one, meaning like cold calling someone, door knocking, talking to someone at a networking event one-to-one. That would be a proactive strategy. Let me say, I'm going to reach out to Julie, take my time to contact her on the internet, one-to-one time unit relationship. Whereas a reactive strategy is, instead of reaching out to someone on social media, placing a video on the internet, taking the same time that you would have reached out to that person, filming a piece of content, putting that content on the internet, and having people come across that content and come to you. So what you need to understand is the difference on conversion rates. So when someone contacts you versus you contacting them, who's in the position of control? And when you're on video and someone's watching your videos over and over and over, they're going through the rapport building process ahead of time. So they're already getting to have that know, like, and trust factor with you. They're building rapport through the videos. So when they call you, is pretty much just not mess it up, right? There, you pretty much have the business, because unconsciously they would never picked up the phone and called you if they hadn't already unconsciously admitted to themselves they're going to work with you, right? So one thing that video marketing does is it's a massive time leverage technique for multiple ways. You're going to have people come across to you, meaning they're finding you. The time relationship between the efforts that you put out, you could put one video that could have hundreds of thousands of people watch it. So the time leverage is massive. And then the conversion rates are much higher as well, because when it comes to growing your business, it's one of two ways: increasing the lead generation side of the business or increasing the conversion side of the business. So most people say, let's say they're spending $5,000 a month, they generate 10 leads of whatever business they're doing, and they close 1 out of 10. They have a 10% conversion rate off 10 leads. And if you ask that business owner, how do you double your business? They're going to say, well, spend twice as much money, twice as much time to generate 20 leads, so I get 2 out of 20. But most people should be focusing on the conversion side of things, which is how to be a better communicator, how to go through your conversations with your sales calls, starting entry and exit to the close better. Because let's say we generate 10 leads and we close 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10. Now, when we generate 20, we're closing 4 out of 10 or 4 out of 20 or 6 out of 20. Now, the reason why it's so important for you to work on your conversion side of your business is because what if you run out of money? What if you run out of time? You can't just constantly pump money into your business. So conversion side in the beginning, when you don't have a lot of dollars in your business, is the most important thing. So focus on your communication, focus on your credibility marketing. And that's what YouTube can do for you. When you're on camera, it creates a credibility psychological effect for the world that we live in, because everybody grew up with a television in their living room, right? And so when you see someone on camera, whether they're successful or not, it doesn't matter. They instantly move to the position of hierarchy in our thought process, because we grew up watching athletes, movie stars, politicians, comedians, people that we would say is famous or up and beyond the average person is on camera. So by putting yourself on camera, you're increasing the credibility effect, which is going to increase your conversions. You're saving the time on the side of not building rapport at the property, or building rapport while your first interaction with the homeowner or consumer is. They're doing this ahead of time by watching your videos, and you're leveraging your time off the efforts that you take to create your marketing that's working 24/7. And then that's the last thing, is that you can actually put enough videos on the internet where you're having more minutes watched of your videos than 24 hours a day, which means you actually increase the hours of your business than a full 24-hour day, if that makes sense, that you can't do with any other strategy. So long story short, YouTube is the single most powerful way to grow a business right now. If you want to look at eXp Realty, the #1 recruiter in our company, I personally sponsored him. He did it through YouTube. The #1 producers in our company are doing it through YouTube. One of our agents broke Texas state record and did almost $70 million in sales his first year as an agent. He did it through YouTube. So you guys can do what you want. Wow. But what's happening is YouTube is the difference maker for high performance businesses right now, as far as scalability and the dollars it takes to scale, as far as risk avoidance.
Wow. So I got to ask, how do you build the real estate team that you have currently with agents using the social media?
Yeah, so lots of different things. We put out videos where we give out value first. If you guys are getting on the internet, what you need to understand is you don't ask first, give next. What usually most people do is they ask, and give nothing. So what you need to do is give something of value, lead with value, and then ask later. And so what we do is we go out there and create value-driven marketing campaigns, value-driven content. And as people start to follow you, they start to relate to you. And then we're going to drive people into data capture something where we're getting them to an email list, into a retargeting system, into a Facebook group, into a mastermind group, into something where we're going to capture their attention from the digital space, which is a view or subscriber where they don't have a face on them yet. And we humanize them and we bring them into a relationships zone, I guess you could say. Now we're building the relationship. And now once we can work with them on and off in a free way, where we have their attention for a month or two, and they see that we're not some fake YouTubers and that we actually run businesses behind the scenes, then they start to say, actually, I feel like I'm learning more from them than I am my current brokerage. And naturally they move towards us instead of us chasing people. So
because you've already become a trusted authority online.
That's right. And so we create the brand on the internet to create the attention and the credibility. And then we get that piece of the puzzle. The next piece of the puzzle is get them into a small form communication, Zoom conversations, masterminds, anywhere where you can have a relationship built with that person on a name-to-name basis, if that makes sense, instead of just them watching your channel or them being a part of your Facebook group and watching your videos and maybe interacting in the thread, but not with you. But now when you're in a small form conversation, in small group form, this is when over, small window of time, 30, 60, 90 days, you can demonstrate the value that you have to the marketplace and that, hey, I'm a credible person. Also, I'm a lot like you. And if they can see themselves in the future, not only just making more money with you, but also sharing a relationship where they're not going to hate you and can tolerate you, that's when people will decide to work with you at that moment.
That makes sense. So I got to ask, 2022 is almost coming to an end. What do you see for 2023 with a necessity for your businesses? Like what social media platforms do you know are a necessity?
Yeah, I mean, so this is always an opinion, I think, for a lot of people. I'm going to give you my opinion. So like a lot of people, like I did this at event Julie the other day, and some like big social media person, I said, YouTube is a social media. And they were like, YouTube's not social media. It's a video platform or something. But I consider YouTube social media. Most people I think would. But I kind of got blasted on stage. It was kind of ridiculous. But anyways, I think
there's
YouTube,
always that one.
Yeah, I was just like, I get it, but most people aren't going to agree with that. Most people consider YouTube social media. So the thing about YouTube is why I believe YouTube is the central of all the platforms. If you're going to focus on Instagram, and I'll give you my opinion on all Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of them. So YouTube has evergreen content. And what that means is content that you put out that's relevant today can be relevant tomorrow. So if I put a video out on how to cook the best pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving coming up here, a Halloween video, next Halloween and next Thanksgiving, that's going to be relevant content. So you could put a video out that you put 10 minutes in today that gets you views and brings business in forever long term. Not all the platforms have evergreen content. And once you post your videos and your content, it goes away. The next thing is YouTube is a subscription-based service with recurring viewership where people come and they can follow you and you have a little bit longer form content. So for example, like I can post an IG reel, even with not that big of an Instagram following, and get thousands and thousands of views on it. But in relationship to getting thousands of views from like TikTok or short form content on a 5, 10, 15-minute video, as compared to what we're doing now with a podcast, 1,000 views on an hour-long podcast, 1,000 views on a 10-minute video, 1,000 views on a 5-minute video, 1,000 views on a 30-second reel is not the same in relationship of business results, if that makes sense. So it gives you a platform where it's the most credible, solidified, long-term platform that you can have longer form content on, that you can build an audience with, that you really can't do on the other platforms. Now, everything is moving. So YouTube long-term is my opinion on what's the most important. But everything's moving, Julie, towards short form content. So because we have TikTok and Reels and Shorts and all this, attention spans are dropping dramatically. And it used to be where you could keep someone on a 10 or 12-minute video pretty easily past 50% watch time. But now with the high-paced world that we live in, every single thing that you come across throughout the day is trying to get your attention to sell you something. You pull out your cell phone, there's ads. You drive down the highway, there's ads. You listen to the radio, there's ads. Wherever you go, you're being pitched. And then also, what type of ads are we seeing? 90-second or less ads. So I think Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok, these are where I'm going to put a lot more time in going forward, where I didn't see as much value in the past. And what I think you should think about doing is having a good strategy on how to take short form content that can be volume, meaning you can create a lot more short form content pieces to drive them to your longer form content platforms. So using like like an Instagram reel, giving a piece of like this podcast and making it look nice, and then redirecting.
Which you will get. We'll send you some of those.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, I focus for sure on YouTube, but for sure video. Now, the reason why video is so important, and I'll break it down a little bit further so they can understand, is there's 3 ways that you can understand communication conversion. So communication happens in 3 ways. It's the actual words that we're saying, and then the energy, the tonality, the delivery of the words on how we say those words, the emotion in them, and then the nonverbal body language. All 3 of these have to go hand in hand and agree with each other. So when you're not on video, let's say you're talking to someone over the phone, or you're sending just a postcard, or you're putting a billboard out, or some other type of marketing, you are not getting the emotion, tonality, and the voice, which is a big part of communication. And then also you're losing the nonverbal body language. So I want you guys to understand that to be competitive in 2023 going forward, you need to have people look you in the eye, and they need to see how your face moves when you talk to be able to trust you, essentially, right? And trust is a big part of selling something. And this is what I don't think a lot of people understand as we move towards technology and shorter form content. People are wanting to run a business through their phone and text message and emails, and they're scared to talk to people these days. They don't want to get on Zoom. They don't want to, actually meet people, and it's going to hurt you long term. So that's why video is so important. Now, if I was to pick three, I would say YouTube, then Instagram, and then probably TikTok. And I'm not a TikToker, but what I can tell you is running an organization of 2,200 agents, I get to see a wide range of data coming in from the different businesses and how each person looks at their business. And I can tell you that TikTok is working for a lot of people, and short form IG content is working well for people, and YouTube Shorts is working well for people. And rarely do I hear much about Facebook or LinkedIn or some of these other platforms very often. But that would probably be the most commonly used for business growth right now. IG, TikTok, and YouTube is what I'm hearing from most people.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually very familiar with the TikTok side.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I see a lot of people having success with it. How do you leverage YouTube for like your real estate? Aside from like the agents, how do you leverage it for your real estate?
Yeah, lots of different ways. So for like the agent side, a lot of agents are optimizing videos for out-of-state buyers moving to Texas. And so we had, so that's how one of our agents broke Texas state record as a freshman agent and did almost 70 million. Is there's certain ways to optimize videos so that they're found in California for California buyers moving to Texas. Now, if you think about it, if you live in California or you live in your state, wherever you're at, probably impossible that you don't know 5 million real estate agents, right? But if you live halfway across the country and you're moving from New York to Florida or New York to Texas or California to Texas, which is what we're seeing a lot of, you may not know somebody that's a buyer's agent, like living in that new state. So what that means is there's less likely that someone moving here has someone to represent them. And what type of transaction are we doing here when they're moving from California to Texas? Very rarely is it lower than $1 million transaction. A lot of times it's $1.5 to $2 million as far as a transaction. So what a lot of our agents are doing that are crushing it, they're doing, massive GCI, is they're using YouTube to film videos of new build construction properties here in our cities, here in Austin, Dallas, Houston, and so on. And they're doing property tour videos, and then they're keyword optimizing them for California so that people there are coming across them, and they're posting California groups. And then what happens is if you guys do a good job for the first few people, they're coming in this big line and big herd of people coming over here. Say you do a good job for John. Well, guess what John's going to do? He's going to connect you to Susan's sister. And then Susan's going to connect you to Rebecca, her best friend. And that's what happens as they all start coming over here, and you build this big bandwagon effect. Now, another one that's a little ninja one is, let's say Julie does a podcast here about, foreclosures or something like that, and it gets 30,000 views and just kind of takes off on the internet. And then I go on internet later and I type in, let's say I'm trying to buy houses from people going into foreclosure, and I type in how to stop a foreclosure. That's what someone who's in foreclosure is going to type into YouTube as a keyword. And guess what's going to happen? YouTube is going to suggest a bunch of videos. And let's say they suggest Julie's video for me. It's got 30,000 views. Now, here's the reason, Julie, why most people don't do well at digital marketing and they go broke, is they don't know how to target the exact person they're trying to get in front of. So those 30,000 views are an aggregate of every single marketplace across the country. Now, if you're just trying to buy houses in just Dallas or just Miami or just Texas or whatever, you don't want to run ads to all those other views coming on that video. So I can literally choose a video, choose a channel, choose all sorts of different variables or characteristics on where I want to run my ads. And let's say I just want to take Julie's video and run ads on top of that video. So only that people in my state that come across them or my market, when they click it, they'll run my ad that right in front of them. But if they click on that ad from a different state or different area, or that video, I'm not going to get charged for the ad. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of businesses struggle with pay-per-click marketing, is they don't know how to set kind of where their ads are going, and they're getting leads, meaning people clicking on it and looking at their stuff, but they're in completely contrary markets or all around the world or in a different country on the other side of the planet, and they can never do business with them, and they don't understand. Because I have it happen all the time. I get paid ads on my channel from different languages and things like that, where they don't know what they're doing. But that's something that you can do this very targeted. You can do this with bankruptcy attorneys. You can do this with divorce attorneys. You can do this with, like all sorts of different ways. Foreclosure properties. You can do this with something like, let's say, anything really. Whatever the person you're trying to get in front of, what would they be typing into YouTube at 2 a.m? Let's say someone's about to go into bankruptcy. how to stop my bankruptcy. You're going to type that into YouTube, take the videos that come up and start taking those YouTube domains or those YouTube URLs, and then start running ads to those. And then once people get in them, retarget them and kind of follow them around the internet. But that's one way that you grow your sales business and one way that you grow like your investing business. If that kind of helps give you a couple ideas of ways you can use YouTube on the more proactive, aggressive side that's taking money to spend as compared just to the organic growth side. And then on the organic growth side, you're just going to use keyword optimization and making sure you use your keywords to get your videos found by the right viewer audience, the audience profile of viewers.
There's a lot of valuable information.
Yeah.
For real. No, really. I think, Connor, this is great. So I got to ask you this. I got to know. I always ask this. Well, actually, I have two questions. They're different. What would you say to yourself when you first started out as an entrepreneur, knowing what you know now? What would you have done differently? Is there anything you would have done differently?
Yes. Everything. Like most
everyone says too. I'm like, me too. I'm like, oh, this is so different.
Yeah. The first thing I would have done is I would have gone into more of a time-based business model instead of a dollar-based, liability-based business model. So part of the way I went into debt was I went into the real estate investing space. And what I was doing was I was dropping massive direct mail campaigns before I knew what I was doing. And I was dropping big money on marketing. And so we can generate leads with time or money. So how did I get out of debt? I figured out how to generate business with time using social media. You guys can cold call. I mean, like as I started to figure out what I was doing, I was buying houses, cold calling for sale by owners off of Zillow and getting them to owner finance my house. So what built my business was learning how to generate business with my time and effort, not with my dollars. And so that's how I went deep into debt. So that was the first thing. Second thing is I would have vetted some of the education companies that I went through and make sure that, I talked to someone ahead of the time before putting money up, because education is crucial and it's important, but the right education. And there's some great companies and then there's some not so great companies out there. And you want to kind of get due diligence. Yes. And you get the right coaches, it's going to change your life. You get the wrong ones, it's going to change your life, but not the right way. Right. So that's what I would have done. And then another thing I would have done a lot more of was work on communication and my ability to influence and my ability to recruit and attract talent. So like we're talking about conversion rates before. I was not prepared to handle phone calls when leads came into the office. And this is important to understand for any business owner in any business space right now. If you cannot take a phone call or the lead coming in to a contract or to a sale, then you shouldn't be spending money marketing on that. So what I should have done was call a whole bunch of for sale by owners and talk to a whole bunch of owners to get familiar with how the call would go, the questions they'd ask. So it would have not this kind of choppy, me kind of quivering my lips, figuring out what to say. So I would be able to control and convert the business when it came in. So I was doing things that brought in leads, but my communication process over the phone and my communication process wasn't good enough to close that deal, if that makes sense. So what I think people should be doing, especially investors, is just get on the phone with a bunch of for sale by owners, call them with intent as you're practicing, but with intent to get a deal, but just call them and get familiar with this. Get 50 to 100 phone calls with some homeowners under your belt so that when you do pay money for these leads, they're expensive leads coming in the office, hundreds of dollars a phone call, right? Don't mess it up. So that's one thing that slowed me down a lot was I was too quick to putting a lot of money out there and I was generating a lot of leads, but I couldn't convert them because I hadn't worked on my communication processes. And then I would have done something more with time strategies, not dollar strategies ahead of time. And then I would have put a little bit more time into finding better education instead of just going to like the first one that came across YouTube and buying it, if that makes sense. And and just getting out there and going on like following people on social media and getting out there into the networking groups and finding who the big names are and who the quality people are in the industry and following their YouTube channels and consuming that information quicker is the fastest way that you can educate yourself. So when I was coming up, I was watching the OGs of the game, right? Like the Sean Terry's and the Cody Sperber's, people that way back, and John Cochran and System Saturdays. And who else was I watching back in the day? But yeah, I mean, I would have getting on YouTube to get educated. It is a great way to get educated, but you're going to pay with your time and not your dollars. So what I mean by that is you're going to have to watch a bunch of junk videos and a bunch of probably not that great videos. But once you find a few people that are good, sort their channel by oldest to newest and just consume their entire channel, just like a book, and take notes doing this. That's another thing, Julie, I would have done differently, is that I went through a lot of self-development and I went through a lot of podcasts and YouTube channels and things like that. And I didn't traditionally take notes like someone would do when they really read a book. So there's reading and then there's actual like reading where you're dissecting a book and actually trying to learn from that book instead of just reading it one time quick as you can to say I read that.
I like have highlighters like on bananas, Post-it notes, a notebook. It's like out of control.
Right. So like the way I kind of think of my YouTube channels now is once I find a good one, let's say like I just love Julie's channel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse engineer her channel. I'm going to watch every single video. I'm going to have each video into an Excel spreadsheet. Anything that's a good, let's say it's a 12-minute video. In this video, minutes 7 through 9, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the video link in there. I'm going to put the short little message of what I learned in there and the time frame of the video that's important to go back and watch. And so I'm tracking the content that I go through so that if I want to go back and learn, and then I'm also breaking it down in types of topics. Mindset, goal setting and things like this, time management strategies, communication videos, leadership and things like that, so that I can go back and find the most important information that I found with my initial time investment and go over and through repetition, the most important information that's small form that I don't have to go through all this extra time wastage to go through. So I think more people should be thinking about going to not just YouTube videos and podcasts, but also masterminds. I think also that's another last, and we'll move on past this one, but another mistake I made was going to events, paying the money to get out there, going to masterminds, sitting on these calls and daydreaming too much or talking to people at the events or not actually, listening and actually learning, because there's a huge difference between listening and hearing words kind of go through your brain, if that makes sense. And I think if I paid a lot closer attention, which I did pay close attention when it's not like I'm just sitting there staring at the sky, but like really actually listen to what some of these entrepreneurs were saying a lot closer. And I think a lot of people should do that too as well, because a lot of people go to events and they forget why they're there and it becomes a social event and not an education event. And they miss a lot of what they actually went to go get.
You've given some great tips. I gotta say, these are really valuable tips. Awesome. And recommendations. I gotta know though, who is probably the most influential person that you could say in your life that really helped you get where you're at today? Like, is there anybody that a role model, coach, or somebody that like really made an impact on you and your businesses and where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's my faith, and I'm not gonna go down that. It's because cliche, but it was my faith.
No, it's not.
So my dad's Presbyterian minister. I lost my faith early on in my life. I was a PK, party, drugs, everything crazy in college and high school. And then I kind of lost my faith throughout my life, and I came back to it later, and that's what changed my life. But if you were going to talk about a single mentor or person, it without a doubt is Napoleon Hill. So what happened for me was when I was stuck at home and I was struggling, I was $100,000 in debt, and I couldn't figure out my path in life. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And actually I was, terrified, and I was lost, and I was bankrupt in every way, spiritually, physically. And I was really lost at that moment. And somehow one random night I ended up on the internet, and I came across one of the old black and white recordings of Napoleon Hill's success principles when he was actually filming those back in the 1920s. And I was somehow just watched one, and I was like, who's this old dude that's in black and white? Like, he just said something that seemed like I've never heard anything like this before, but it sounded different. Mm-hmm. And it just resonated with me. And so I went down the rabbit hole, and that led me to Think and Grow Rich. And I read Think and Grow Rich, and then I read Outwitting the Devil. And then those books led me down a thought process without me really knowing what I was doing. I fell heavily into self-development. So I came across Napoleon Hill, which led me to Earl Nightingale. And then Earl Nightingale led me to Bob Proctor and Jim Rohn. And then Jim Rohn and Bob Proctor. The next ones I came across were more modern, like Brian Tracy. And then I started following Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell for leadership, and then moved towards the modern day, leaders like we have now, like the Ed Milet's, the PBDs, Joe Dispenza, and some of those types of guys. But it without a doubt, if I didn't come across Napoleon Hill, I would not be here where I am right now. I can assure you.
I read that book every year in December. Every year I read that book.
It's one that you should keep on reading, and it's interesting. So, it makes sense to you. A lot of us, it changed our lives, but some people, they don't have that experience. So you'll meet some people that they read Think and Grow Rich, and it's like, that was the moment that changed my life forever. And then some people, it's just like, oh yeah, I read that book like 10 years ago. and they didn't read it. And also when you read it again, like Julie's doing, it's a different book each time for a couple reasons. Number one, Julie's a different person at the end of her year. Her skill sets are higher. Her awareness of the world she lives in is different. And she's already practiced and tried certain things that she's learned in whatever book, this one, for example, she's read. Now, the second thing is the reason why you want to read books again or listen to podcasts or listen to things that were valuable for you the first time, again, is because we have what's called thought drift. And so let's talk about this podcast real quick. So let's say that it's like a 45-minute podcast and you hit start from the YouTube button and it's going to play continuously for 45 minutes. That's the content delivery. It's going to never stop, 0 to 45 minutes. Now your attention span in that is going to stop from time to time. So our brains can only retain, they say like 15 to 17% of information an hour. So let's say we're going through this podcast here and we're 7 minutes in or 3 minutes in, and I say something that triggers something in your mind. I say something that you hadn't thought of before. Now you're consciously focused on the words I'm saying. And now once I say something that triggers you because you're focused on it, your thoughts are going to drift off onto whatever you're thinking about. Now that's when you're not paying attention to what I'm saying because I'm still talking, but you're thinking in your mind about what I said. And so then when you come back off the thought drift, you catch back into the conversation, but you never heard what you missed. And so there's going to be gaps in a book. This is why sometimes you read a book and you're like, I didn't read that last time. It's because you were in a thought drift. And so by doing things through repetition, you're increasing likelihood that the next time you listen to the podcast or the video, your thoughts are going to drift not at the same time, so that you're going to hear information that you didn't the first time that's going to fill in pieces of the puzzle and make more sense than you read it the first time. So there's a lot of reasons why you should read books. I'm a big believer, and you'll hear me on other podcasts saying this, Julie, where it's like, do you want to read 100 books once, or do you want to read 10 really good books 10 times, or 20 really good books 5 times? And I'm a big believer in reading the right information and following right people through repetition over and over and over, than just trying to read a book to get it on there on my notch on my belt. So I can tell people I hit 50 books and now I've read 100 books and now I've read 200 books. And it's become a competition on how fast we can read a book once and not even retain anything. And so it's kind of become weird, but yeah. So if you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, guys, it's not cliche. That book is very important. And it changes a lot of people's lives. And
you hit the nail on the head. Like every year I read it, I see something different. I feel something different. Something else hits me different. And I've noticed every year when I take the time and I just read the book and really take my time and read it. I don't just like read it to read it. Every year I've seen progress in my businesses and my mindset and the people I surround myself with.
And it's just experiences. Like, let's say, you never had someone steal from you. And then all of a sudden someone stole a bunch of money from you that year. And then the next time you read the book, it's talking about how to handle your mindset on this partner stabs you in the back or steals from you, right? So now you have experiences that sometimes didn't apply from stuff you were learning in a book, that because last time in the time window from the previous time you read it to this time, you may have had certain experiences with your business. Let's say it's like a digital marketing book or something like that. Let's say you're reading a book on like social media or YouTube, and you've never done anything. Well, then when you go and start playing around with everything, well, guess what's going to happen the next time you go back 6-12 months later? You've now tested all this stuff. You've had experiences. So the things that didn't make a lot of sense the first time make a lot more sense the next time. Yeah. So if you're really serious on the topic, guys, and you read a book that you thought was good the first time, go back and reread it again. You'll find out there's more in there that you can use for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So I know for our viewers today, you're going to do something special with, I know you have a little bit of only for, your team members and the Wolf Pack. It's private. It's a private academy that's focused on YouTube. And I understand that you are going to be allowing our viewers to purchase this. Is this correct? And it's not on the market. You can't find it on the market.
That's right. You're not going to just go find a landing page and everything like this. Now, there may be like one random or two small links in a video way in the past that you guys could maybe come across, but probably not. So basically what I've done is I've created a large value proposition for our agents, and we create all sorts of different trainings for our partners that join us with our Wolfpack organization at EXP. We have private investment coaching, social media trainings, video marketing courses. We have onboarding systems. We have all sorts of different things we've created behind the scenes. And one of the things that we do is we do a lot of digital marketing and internet marketing. And I've built an over 100 video YouTube training academy that used to be on the internet that I pulled down that's just for our agents now. And so this is a course that we use to actually train our agents, not just create it quickly to sell on the internet. to get a bunch of quick sales, if that makes sense. It's actually a functional course to actually train agents how to win in business. And because Julie twists my arm, I'm willing to let you guys have access to it.
Because we go way back.
Yeah, we do. So we'll open up,
guys, really.
Yeah, we'll open up for your audience, but I'll have a link for you guys somewhere. Julie will kind of let you know.
Yeah, we're going to actually have a link. They can go to undergroundwealthsecrets.net/YouTube, and we'll also add it in the show notes and on the YouTube page as well. Again, that's undergroundwealthsecrets.net/YouTube for this exclusive offer that you cannot find anywhere else. And that is not a sales pitch. It's the truth. Yeah,
it's a full-on course, guys. It's going to teach you pretty much the entire process of YouTube and video marketing. So you're going to have the pre-content side to the content process to the post-content process. So what pre-content is everything that happens before you go see the movie. Meaning, if nobody knows that you filmed the best movie in the history of all movies and it's not in the movie theater and you don't know it's there, no one's going to show up. So the first part of YouTube is, how do we actually have YouTube put our videos in front of people? The optimization side, titles, tagging, keywords, tools, how to optimize videos, how to write your description. So we're going to go into the entire pre-content process side, how to create the right titles, choose the right thumbnails, all the best practices. And then the content side is the actual creation of the video, how to increase watch time, editing and things like that. We actually show you what to buy, what to use, what to edit, how to put videos together. And then the post-content side is the most important side, because now that you have attention, how do we build a business around it? And I think a lot of people figure out how to get views and subscribers, but they can't generate it into an actual business around it. So we're going to teach you how to take the attention that you have now and monetize it and grow a business around it. And then we're going to teach you all about the algorithms, the transcriptions, the analytics systems. So we're going to teach you all about post-launch velocity, click-through rates, watch time, returning viewers, binge watching, and all the things that you guys need in that platform or in that course.
Well, thank you so much, Connor. Yeah. Do you have any final words for our viewers before we close out?
Yeah, if you guys are scared to get on camera, I would go watch my YouTube channel, my newest one. So I launched a new channel called Connor Steinbrook. It's my personal brand channel. I have my Investor Army channel for real estate investing, but my new channel is more on overall entrepreneurship. And I started this channel in a sequential order way, from where I was $100,000 debt, living at home terrified with my parents, where I was lost in life, to the exact steps I did in a sequential order, from who I came across to the educational process I went through, the skill sets that I built, and what would be a step-by-step order for you guys to go through and kind of figure out your business. Now, the most important thing in life is self-esteem. Self-esteem creates relationships. Self-esteem creates a business and builds a business, because if you don't believe in yourself, it doesn't matter how much you believe in what you're trying to do. You will sit down when it gets tough because you don't believe you can do it and you don't have the respect for yourself to keep going. So those first few videos, if you're struggling with self-esteem or limiting beliefs or fear and worry and doubt and anxiety, go watch those videos. I'm going to help you understand how to build your self-esteem up, how to overcome fear, and how to overcome limiting beliefs, so that now you can actually take the actions to do the things you need to do in your business. So if you're having procrastination issues, or you're not doing what you need to do on a daily basis, it is a self-esteem issue, and it's what you need to work on. And I have a couple of videos on there that explain lots of different ways to increase the self-esteem that you have. And as your self-esteem increase, your energy levels increase, so your activity increases, which will lead to some type of win in some area of your business, which will lead to the excitement to go chase another win and build a winning streak. So start with your self-esteem first, and everything else will build itself around you.
Connor, thank you so much. I want to thank you for being on the show today. Yeah. Again, for our viewers, you can go to undergroundwealthsecrets.net/YouTube for the course that Connor was just talking about. And definitely go and check out his new YouTube page, which is the Connor Steinbrook one. And then you could always watch the Investor Army one. Again, thank you so much, Connor. It was such an honor to have you on our show today.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah. And then Julie, if you want, I'll give you a link. So another thing I just forgot, I give out like a free 9-video mini YouTube course. So if you want me to give that out to them as well.
That would be great. Yeah, we'll add the link to the show notes.
Yeah, we can do that. And then if you guys want to, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be a lot more active on Instagram going forward in short form content. I think you guys should as well. I've always been more of like a longer form content type of person, but I will be doing a lot more in short form. And so I'll be posting those. You probably want to go see what I'm posting on Instagram and then check those out. So we're going to be putting a lot of content like that out going forward. But other than that, is there anything I can do for you or your audience, Julie, or
No, I think that's great. We're giving them the mini course series and the YouTube training. So I think that this has been phenomenal. You have given so much value this morning that, I even learned a lot on this interview.
Awesome. I had fun.
Thank you so much.
No problem. See you guys later, hopefully with a bigger bank account after you try to apply some of this stuff.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Underground Wealth Secrets. May these nuggets of wisdom lead you to finally discovering your true potential. Become one of the most reliable businesses out there that's dedicated both to filling up your bank accounts and leaving a positive impact on your community. Get more informative and engaging conversations like this one at undergroundwealthsecrets.net. Don't forget to leave a positive rating and share with your friends. That's all for now. Until next time.